Good evening, I'm Ian Hanomansing. Tonight, a Remembrance Day ceremony becomes a battleground for pandemic politics. Dozens of people protesting vaccine mandates disrupt a BC gathering. Why police are now investigating. Also tonight, climate talks enter overtime.
A small number of key issues remain.
The sticking points and the stakes as negotiations continue.
The people in there have failed us.
There's not much time left to take serious action.
New restrictions in Manitoba as COVID case rates across the country rise. But
I'm just grateful that there's hope on the horizon.
The good news for kids and parents today. And the hometown hero hoping to make history.
These streets are where I grew up.
This is The National. Remembrance Day ceremonies were canceled last year or moved online because of the risks posed by COVID. This year, as Canadians were welcomed back to solemn ceremonies, the disruption came from the polarizing politics of the pandemic. This was the scene in Kelowna, British Columbia yesterday, the solemn mood turning angry when veterans were met by people protesting vaccine mandates. Tonight, the RCMP announced they're looking at a rarely cited part of the criminal code in their investigation of the protest. And as Brady Strachan shows us, it was just one of several ceremonies in British Columbia that didn't go quite as planned.
On a day reserved for reflection, tempers flared.
Not the right time, not the right place.
As people at this cenotaph in Kelowna, British Columbia paid their respects to veterans in an informal ceremony, a group of protesters set up a mic to speak out against public health measures. Several people tried to stop the speaker.
The word that came to my mind was hijacked.
Erica Bell Lowther was with her children and grandchildren when the protesters showed up.
It was just disgusting. It was, just so disrespectful. I just don't get it. Like, they were acting like bullies.
A sentiment shared by Kelowna's mayor, who says anti-vaccine mandate protesters have gone too far.
Have some respect for the veterans who have contributed to this country and given you the right to protest, but be mindful of the fact that people didn't want you there on this particular day.
The RCMP say they're investigating this incident as a possible criminal offense. They say it would fall under a section of the criminal code related to disturbances of a religious service or social events held for a moral purpose.
That I believe that there were a group of people that were gathering for a moral, social, or benevolent purpose, and they were interrupted. And I believe that interruption was potentially criminal in nature. Yep.
This expert says the whole situation poses a freedom of speech issue, but that may not help the protesters' case.
I'm usually on the side of allowing for the widest possible scope for respectful debate and dialogue. But I think in situations like this, you want to get your views across, you want them to be heard, you want to try and convince people that your side is the more compelling side, and this isn't the way to do it.
And this wasn't the only concerning incident on Remembrance Day in BC. Police are also investigating a threat that stopped an official service in the nearby town of Lake Country and pandemic-related graffiti sprayed on Cranbrook's Cenotaph. The RCMP in Kelowna are asking anyone who recorded video of the incident to contact them. Brady Strachan, CBC News, Kelowna, British Columbia.
A Nova Scotia veteran is making an appeal to the public after he says 4 medals were stolen from his Halifax hotel room. He was in town to mark Remembrance Day with his family.
He's gone to every corner of the planet serving, and some of those medals are quite impressive and quite unique, and to have them taken is just heartbreaking.
Michael Deutsch retired in August from the Royal Canadian Air Force. He and his wife were at a family dinner when their room was robbed. A computer, tablet, and jewelry were also taken. Police are investigating. Some promising news on the fight against COVID in Canada. Health officials say a decision on vaccines for children under the age of 12 is coming soon. And all of this coming as the number of infections in the country is rising. The national decline in average daily new cases stalled, then reversed course this month. Most of that change is in Quebec and Ontario, up by around 45 to 50% over the past 2 weeks. New Brunswick is up about 30%, Nova Scotia 80%. And Manitoba is up 30% over 2 weeks, and that is a long way away from its lows back in September. If this becomes a sustained wave, it would be Canada's fifth. Katie Nicholson looks at what officials and individuals are doing to try to avoid that.
A blast of winter in Manitoba drives people indoors, with COVID already surging.
If we don't take further steps, we certainly are at risk of overwhelming that healthcare system again.
A sharp spike in the province's COVID numbers, forcing new rules and restrictions on some gatherings, which take effect this weekend, prompting criticism the government should have done more earlier.
Here we go again.
In Ontario, daily numbers also climbing in exponential growth, and new modeling projects a volatile and uncertain future.
I mean, it's certainly concerning.
Roger Yang designed this new restaurant with acrylic walls and air filtration. He's okay if Ontario also brings back some limits.
I think it's probably a good idea at this point to have capacity restrictions anyway.
There are rumblings from some epidemiologists, perhaps everything reopened too quickly.
A little bit. I think that it was a gigantic mistake, a colossal mistake, an obvious mistake to let stadiums open at full capacity.
Still, with vaccinations, this wave is different.
It's an absolute game changer. If we did not have vaccination, we would be locked down right now.
But children under 12, overrepresented among new infections, haven't been able to get the shot. Today, new hope for them.
And we expect to have a final decision in the next 1 to 2 weeks. So that's for the Pfizer in children.
There's a big sigh of relief to be able to think, oh, my whole family can be protected.
And hopes that maybe this year her daughter will be able to see her grandparents at Christmas.
I'm just grateful that there's hope on the horizon, that we can resume some sort of normal.
Relief possibly a few weeks away, but closer than it's ever been. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Toronto.
A major decision from an LA courtroom today. After nearly 14 years, the conservatorship controlling the life of pop star Britney Spears will end, and the scene outside the courthouse was jubilant. The judge in the case terminated the arrangement that's been in place since 2008. Up until recently, Spears' father had almost complete control over her life and finances.
Britney, as of today, is a free woman, and she's an independent woman, and the rest, with her support system, will be up to Britney.
Earlier this year, Spears gave compelling and grim testimony about life under the conservatorship, outlining her father's control over her finances, work, even her birth control. The 39-year-old taking to Instagram to thank her fans and to celebrate what she called the best day ever. A federal grand jury has indicted former Trump advisor Steve Bannon for contempt of Congress. He refused to testify and produce documents related to the riot on Capitol Hill on January 6th. Bannon is one of several former Trump advisors who's refused to answer questions from a House committee investigating the Capitol riot, but he is the first to be indicted. The 67-year-old expected in court on Monday. By tonight, there was supposed to be an agreement in writing on how the world was going to tackle climate change. This was the deadline set out for the UN's COP26 climate summit. But that deadline has come and gone, and the negotiations keep going.
We have come a long way over the past 2 weeks, and now we need that final injection of that can-do spirit.
Eventually, they did stop, but just for the night. They will continue tomorrow. The goal is to get all the countries to agree to a plan that will keep global warming to 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels. As Chris Brown explains, even after days of talks, that is no easy task.
A blaring siren at the start of the day was meant to crank up the pressure on negotiators to take dramatic steps. In hallways, conference rooms, and on their phones, national delegations searched for the right words and often couldn't find them, such as how to set up a carbon trading market, so-called Article 6.
Not really very happy because quite a number of issues in Article 6 have not been concluded.
Activists wanted an explicit statement about ditching fossil fuels. Instead, in the draft agreement, they got a sentence about eliminating so-called inefficient subsidies.
They're weasel words. They're loopholes to allow countries to continue to increase production and emissions.
By afternoon, activists had enough. Hundreds staged a mass walkout calling COP26 a failure.
All of the leaders, they say such nice and green words, but when we read the cover decision, it's so bad.
Later, one of Canada's most prominent environmentalists, Green MP Elizabeth May, suggested the activists' verdict was too harsh, that getting big oil nations to even mention fossil fuels in a binding document is some progress.
It is the first time, believe it or not, it's the first time that the words fossil fuels have appeared in a climate declaration coming out of a COP.
There were other high points. Rivals China and the U.S. agreed to work together on climate, and there were side deals such as halting deforestation. But developing nations want a new fund created for richer countries to compensate them for damage from pollution, potentially a huge bill. The Canadian delegation was among those that pushed back. Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault suggested the plan needs more work.
I don't think we're at a stage where we are talking about new funding mechanisms being created, but we are very supportive of seeing the conversation on loss and damages move forward.
Negotiators still could not agree on the outstanding issues by the Friday night deadline. So whether global climate action inches along or ends with a surprising bold move may not be known until at least Saturday. Chris Brown, CBC News, Glasgow.
Let's bring in our senior meteorologist, Johanna Wagstaff. And Joe, from Chris, we heard kind of what we know about the state of negotiations. But from a scientific standpoint, where do things stand for the planet?
Well, Ian, 1.5 degrees Celsius has really been the backbone of the talks over the past 2 weeks. And the science shows us that a warming world means the impacts warm exponentially. Increased flooding, drought, heat domes, every tenth of a degree getting much worse. And we're really seeing that impact in Canada's north and island nations, which is why they were the group really pushing for that 1.5 target back in Paris. We know we're not quite there with the pledges, and we know we have one more year for countries to issue new pledges trying to close that gap.
So you've been there for a week now, and I'm fascinated to hear what it's been like kind of outside of the official negotiations.
Ian, it's almost like two separate conferences have been happening at the same time. Inside these walls, the corporate negotiations. Outside, I've been talking all week to climate activists, human rights and Indigenous groups. And while they're feeling discouraged that their message for rapid reduction from fossil fuels and a much more aggressive text has fallen on deaf ears, I am hearing hope that they're walking away with newfound connections and energy so that they can keep the fight going no matter what happens, when it happens, when those 197 countries finally sign, Ian.
Johanna, always great to have you on the show. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It has been nearly 3 months since Afghanistan fell to the Taliban, and thousands of refugees have come here seeking a new life. But as Ellen Morrow explains, for hundreds of Afghans, life in Canada has been uncertain and repeatedly uprooted.
Amal Wardak says Canada gives him hope that his kids will have a safe and happy future. An entrepreneur in Kabul, Wardak has dreams of one day opening a business here, too.
I hope that we could be a positive part of this society. And I'm happy for my children that they will be educated in such a good country.
But instead of a fresh start, it's so far been false starts. This group of more than 300 Afghan refugees packing up yet again, their fourth hotel move in 3 months.
They have done enough in terms of Afghanistan, the uncertainty and move and running around.
Noor Din heads a community organization helping the newcomers.
It's the interruption major interruption for 300-400 individuals, which is very inefficient.
Some of the group was moved to a motel on the other side of Toronto yesterday. This photo shows a pile of dead bugs purportedly on the floor of one of the rooms, broken faucets in the bathroom, a moldy radiator, and concerns about the air quality. Outrage over the conditions forced the resettlement agency, funded primarily by the federal government, to change plans and pick a different hotel.
It wasn't acceptable.
Why did you not do a more thorough investigation before picking that site then?
Certainly, the rooms were ready, but clearly not all of them, because then we found these deficiencies in some of the rooms, as our guests were telling us.
In a statement today, the government said that motel did not meet our standards. Mistakes in the process resulted in it being erroneously chosen. Most of the group has now arrived at their next hotel, receiving a warm welcome there tonight, hoping this move will be their last before they find their new permanent homes. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Toronto.
Nearly 1,200 migrants crossed the English Channel yesterday to seek refuge in the UK. That is a new daily record. Groups working with refugees say it is a dangerous journey.
We're now seeing deaths here in the Channel. We have to provide a safe way for people to make this journey.
More than 23,000 people have arrived in England by boat this year. In past years, there has been a steady drop as autumn sets in, but so far, the number of refugees crossing remains strong. And migrants are caught in the middle of a worsening political standoff at the border of Belarus and Poland. As Briar Stewart shows us, Russia is now involved.
Nighttime doesn't get any easier along the Poland-Belarus border. In the light, the scale of this humanitarian crisis is obvious. The solution to it isn't. As children take part in protests along the border, the politics continue to ramp up on all sides. It seems that our Western neighbors are ready to start a conflict, said Belarus's Minister of National Defense after staging military drills with Russia today. Russia later confirmed 2 of its paratroopers were killed in this exercise, which unfolded in an area already gripped by heightened tension. Belarus's national airline, along with Turkish Airlines, said they will no longer fly citizens from Iraq, Yemen, and Syria into Minsk after facing pressure from EU officials for their apparent role in contributing to the crisis.
People are being sold a lie by smugglers, international smuggling networks.
This man tried to get into Poland 6 times and was attacked by a dog guarding the border along with Polish soldiers. He said he was, however, thankful for the assistance from the Belarusian guards.
Very good, the police. Very, very, very good.
His asylum claim is now being processed in Poland, but like others, he dreamed of going further to Germany. But the EU is not throwing open its borders. It, along with the U.S., says new sanctions will be levied against Belarus in the coming days. The country's authoritarian leader, Alexander Lukashenko, said that if it is hit with more sanctions, it would stop natural gas from transiting through Belarus and onto Germany. That would be bad news for a continent already dealing with a gas shortage. But today, the Kremlin distanced itself from that threat, saying Russia was never consulted. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Moscow.
A Canadian woman who has spent years in a detention camp for people with alleged ties to ISIS is about to come home months after her child made the same trip. CBC News isn't identifying her, and we're distorting her voice because of security concerns. As Travis Danraj explains, she's hoping for a fresh start, but that is far from certain.
I think once I get home and I'm with my daughter, then maybe things will start to feel real to me.
It's been 8 months since this Canadian mother last held her little girl. They were separated so the 4-year-old could come to Canada and get out of a detention camp for families of ISIS militants. Now, a reunion is imminent on Canadian soil.
I hope I'm given the opportunity to stay in my daughter's life and just make amends.
The woman left Canada in 2014 and ended up in the camp in northeastern Syria. She won't say if her intent was to join the Islamic State, but her lawyer insists she was manipulated into going.
She has been cooperating with law enforcement for the last 2 years. Not only has she been speaking to the RCMP, but she's also spoken to the FBI.
The Canadian government has issued her emergency travel documents. She's expected to return next week, but it's not clear if she will face charges. Last year, Human Rights Watch estimated there were around 40 Canadian women and children not charged with any crime living in similar camps. Ottawa has been criticized for leaving them there, including by this retired U.S. diplomat who helped the mother and daughter in this case.
The women in the camps and children live in tents. They're freezing cold in the winter. They are fire hazards. Sometimes the fires are set by radical women.
This mother says she isn't worried about those left behind.
Not all of us have the same stories, and the fact that I was able to have this opportunity out of everybody to leave the camp and to make it back to Canada shows that my story is different.
If the woman is charged for traveling abroad to join a terrorist group, her lawyer says he has a robust defense prepared. Travis Stanrar, CBC News, Ottawa.
For the first time in decades, the Canadian men's soccer team is on the edge of making history.
This is a team that has enough talent to go to a World Cup.
Coming up, why there's more at stake than soccer's biggest prize, and a homecoming tonight for a Canadian superstar.
These streets are where I grew up.
From the Pacific Ocean to the Smithsonian Museum, the new exhibit that puts you in the water with BC's endangered killer whales.
These types of experiences make you want to help.
And later, why your holiday booze could cost more this season. We're back in 2. More than 250,000 Canadians will get some tough news this year, a diagnosis of cancer. But there are questions about how differently cancers can affect different ethnic groups, and advocates want to collect more data. Tashana Reid explains how one community group has already started by boosting screening rates.
The women in these photos are sharing their experiences with breast cancer.
They're really telling the truth about the struggles that they faced throughout their diagnosis.
Michelle Audouin is the creator of Uncovered, a project launched after her own breast cancer journey to raise awareness about the unique struggles Black, Indigenous, and women of color face with the disease.
Could be from like lack of images of scars, like my situation was, to misinformation about what radiation burn looks like on melanated skin.
It can be so close.
Francine Holness was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer this year after she discovered a lump in her breast.
I'm processing my mortality.
At 43, with no family history of the disease, she had not yet started regular breast cancer screenings.
I may have 10 years. We don't know. They've given me 2 to 7.
There isn't a lot of information on women of color and cancer rates in Canada, but data from the US and UK show disparities do exist compared to white women.
Black American women tend to have triple negative breast cancer, which is a more aggressive form of breast cancer.
This surgical oncologist says the lack of race-based health data could be impacting health outcomes.
I do think our screening guidelines might have to be different because we know some data that Black women present at an earlier stage.
Earlier screening could help, but another issue is a lower rate of cancer screening among Black and immigrant Canadians. That's what the Taibu Community Health Centre has been working to improve.
For some members of the community, they were really not terribly concerned with cancer screening because they weren't seeing a lot of data specific to Black or racialized communities.
In 2013, the center developed an Afrocentric cancer screening program that included culturally sensitive education pamphlets, outreach, and a targeted phone calling program. And it worked.
We saw our breast cancer screening rate triple, and our cervical cancer screening rate increased substantially.
And screening for colon cancer nearly tripled.
Now on these walls, you're seeing.
As for wholeness, she's already talked to her daughters about screening.
Let them navigate, ask questions, advocate, push when they need to push.
And hopes her story will help others too. Tashana Reid, CBC News, Toronto.
Next, one of soccer's most celebrated players is back in Canada at home tonight.
These streets are where I grew up, where my family made a home, and where I learned to play.
As Alphonso Davies and the Canadian men's soccer team shoots for the World Cup, we'll go beyond the headlines with 2 former players on what this could mean for the future of the sport in this country. The Canadian men's soccer team is looking to take another step towards a major achievement in Edmonton tonight. With a win against Costa Rica, they'll move closer to securing a spot at the FIFA World Cup, something this country's men's team hasn't done in more than 35 years. Paige Parsons is just outside Commonwealth Stadium. And Paige, What's the atmosphere been like there tonight?
Ian, we're about 20 minutes into the game and the cheers are just roaring out of that stadium. People are so excited. And, you know, we talked to people going in completely undeterred by the cold and you know, pulling out anything red they have. Not a lot of actual soccer jerseys, but we're seeing Calgary Flames jerseys, Canadians jerseys, Olympics gear, just, you know, anything they can get in their closet to try to create a sea of red for Team Canada.
Tens of thousands of fans piled into Edmonton's Commonwealth Stadium, ready to make some noise at the first of 2 critical World Cup qualifier matches. In attendance, hundreds of members of Canada's national fan club, the Voyageurs, some who flew in from across the country.
It's real enthusiasm. It's not people being boosters. They're like, I want to watch this team. I'm going to travel. I'm going to fly. I'm going to go.
Ready to play their part.
The songs are the things that we kind of use to communicate our message of excitement, pump up the team, drag down the opposition, harass the ref, bug opposition fans, give us a better chance of winning, ultimately.
Alfonso Davies keeps it himself! Goal!
The club saw an explosion in membership last month after star Alfonso Davies' sensational goal against Panama that made highlight reels around the world.
These streets are where I grew up.
For Davies, this is a homecoming.
And where I learned to play.
At practice, that home field advantage was top of mind for a team that hasn't qualified for a World Cup since 1986.
This is a team that has enough talent to go to a World Cup and, you know, really make waves in the international stage.
We know we have a job to do. We're focused on that, and we're excited to do it at home.
Also at stake, growing the game in Canada. The hope hosting big games could draw in fans and players.
To win it for Canada!
Building on the success of the women's team. Still, for some watchers, more work needs to be done.
They're not just going to come. You need to provide opportunities. In particular, soccer clubs need to make their programs more equitable and more diverse so that they're more welcoming for more people.
But a chance to see Canada's stars in action certainly helps.
Go Canada! Yeah! Go Canada!
And Paige, explain for us the importance of tonight's match for Canada's chances to make the World Cup.
Ian, it's incredibly important. Tonight, everyone's been talking about needing to pick up a big 3 points against Costa Rica. Canada has a lot of momentum going into this game and into next Tuesday's game against Mexico. But if they want to secure their chance to finally make it to the World Cup tournament, they're going to need to have a great showing against Costa Rica tonight.
Thanks, Paige. So a historic time for Canadian soccer. And to go beyond the headlines, I spoke to 2 former elite players earlier this evening. Andrew Ornock is a former professional and Canadian men's national team player and director and coach at Dutch Connections FC. He joins us from Toronto, where there is a noisy practice going on behind him. And Craig Forrest is also in Toronto, former goalkeeper in the Premier League and named by Soccer Canada as one of the all-time greatest Canadian players. Welcome to both of you.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks for having me.
Craig, let's start with you. How did the Canadian team get to this moment? What's special about the men's team right now?
There's several reasons for that. From the national team level, women and men, there's a professionalism that's been brought in by John Herdman and that group. And we've always been complaining as players about that lack of professionalism. And if it were going to compete in the best league or in the world with the sport that everybody plays in it, we need to be at the best of our game, and that needed to improve. So that has improved, as well as Major League Soccer rules have changed. A few years ago, well, it wasn't that many years ago, we were banging on the door of MLS saying, why is it in a league that we have 3 Canadian teams, are Canadians playing as foreigners in the United States, but United States Americans can play in Canada, and our MLS teams as non-foreigners? It was a difficult situation, and not many Canadians were able to make that move down there. We look at the team now, there's 5 or 6 of those players have benefited from that situation alone. So there's a number of different elements, but that's a couple of them right off the top.
Yeah, and Andrew, why don't you pick up on that? From your perspective, what is it that makes the 2021 men's team so good?
It's definitely a young and dynamic team. You have players that are starting to play in the higher tiers in Europe. Obviously, Alfonso Davies, who's playing at Bayern Munich, a top club in Europe. Others are climbing the ladder. To Greg's point, you see that players are really starting to flourish in the MLS, and the game is really growing here. So they have the opportunity now to potentially qualify for the World Cup. It's very exciting, and as you can see, it's starting to spark a lot of interest, I think, not only in Canada, but everywhere.
And Andrew, you know, we can see and hear those players behind you, young soccer players that you coach. What impact is the success, I guess, of both the men's and especially the women's team, but what impact is that having on the young players you're seeing?
Absolutely. It's been very inspiring and very motivating, not only for the players, but the staff, for the families, the members involved, not only in our program, but all of the programs across the country, I find. Like you can see it, that the game is really growing. The women, obviously, with their gold medal this past summer. The men's program now really pushing for the World Cup. You're starting to see a tipping point, a turning point in Canadian men's soccer, and women have been there for quite a while already. And now you can see it's really inspiring players to really dream.
Craig, I know that we have got two groups of people watching, those who follow soccer closely, so they'll kind of know the answer to this next question, but a lot who don't. Alphonso Davies, he just turned 21 years old. He's from Edmonton. He's playing in Edmonton. What's so significant about him?
Oh man, there's so many good things about him. He would be, I'm trying to think of somebody to compare an Edmonton Oilers team, maybe a Paul Coffey or somebody like that. You know, maybe on a left-sided player's point of view, we're talking about the pace and ability and entertainment of Wayne Gretzky. He is a top-notch player. Like, we're talking one of the best left-sided players in the world. In the world, not just CONCACAF, in the world. He scares the living daylights out of every defender in any league or any team that he plays with. We've seen that with our national team. He's a massive effect at turning over teams. Never before have I seen Mexico sit back at Azteca Stadium against a Canadian national team because of Alphonso Davies, Tejan Buchanan with his pace as well on the other side of the pitch. This is scaring teams, and they're electric, entertaining, fun to watch. And I said, you know, a long time ago, Edmonton is a home of Canadian soccer for a long time. And if anybody deserves Alphonso Davies, it is Edmonton. They supported us when no other cities did a long time ago.
I love your description, and I love that you also put it in terms of classic Edmonton Oilers, and wow, what a description of Alphonso Davies from a guy who obviously knows elite soccer very well. Andrew, you know elite soccer as well. I'll let you decide to either talk about Davies or anyone else on the team that we should keep an eye on.
Well, I agree with Craig. I mean, obviously, Alphonso Davies is a world-class talent. He's a player that's playing at the very highest level. His pace sets him apart, his technique, his skill. He's still developing, which is the scary thing. And you look at other young players like Buchanan. Again, one of my personal favorites, Atiba Hutchinson, a player who's a veteran of this team. And I think down the stretch of World Cup qualifying, you're going to really rely on these kind of players that have been there before, maybe not necessarily the World Cup, but an opportunity to make the World Cup. And yeah, definitely an exciting team that's young and upcoming.
Okay, well, listen, I'm the host of this program, so I'll do something I shouldn't do, and that is ask each of you an unfair question and a quick answer. Andrew, I'll start with you. Is the team going to make the World Cup?
Absolutely. I think they have a fantastic chance. It's a young team. Let's not forget this. And regardless of whether they make the World Cup now or not, I don't think many have expected them to make the World Cup at this point. But the potential is huge, and I think we're just scratching the surface with the up-and-coming talent in this country. I like the way, I love where it's heading.
Craig?
I'm going to say that this national team is going to go to the World Cup, and I said it before this, when they got into the last group of 8, that I think that they have the second or third best squad in CONCACAF at this present moment. Maybe even the best, the way they played against the Mexicans, which is a little bit of a push. But that's what I'm saying. They're going to the World Cup, and it's the biggest show on earth, and it's something that we should get behind. And I'm so glad that people are, and the people that have not grabbed a hold of either the women or the men, the game is on. And let's support our national team. It's a big thing for us.
I love your insights, and I certainly love your enthusiasm. Thanks to both of you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Next, BC's famous pod of killer whales makes its debut at the Smithsonian.
Let me introduce a young J-pod orca.
We'll take you inside the new exhibit, offering a new perspective on an endangered species. For years now, people around the world have followed the story of BC's most famous orcas, the J-pod. And now those on the other side of the continent can experience their world in an immersive new exhibit at the Smithsonian in Washington. Susanna De Silva takes us through it.
Despite being more than 4,500 kilometers away, it feels like J-pod is literally within reach.
So let me introduce a young J-pod orca that bears the burden of the future of her family and her home. Her name is Kiki.
Augmented reality glasses allow visitors to experience the threats to the orca's existence, including boat noise that interferes with their ability to hunt. There are only 73 southern resident killer whales left in the world.
Since I was a little girl, I was fascinated with this population of orcas that lived off the Pacific coast, so much so that I've actually made my home here.
The project was created out of a chance meeting between a Nova Scotia-born film producer and an employee of a UK-based tech company.
How can we create something using tech to help this family, help bring awareness, and ultimately save their ecosystem and their home?
So from everything from the saddle patches to the genders, to the sizes, to the relative scale, we really tried to bring as much as possible for there. So people do feel like there is a grounding in reality. It's not just cartoon orcas swimming around, but we want to make them feel a sense of connection and, and hopefully then an affection.
And it was a connection through Microsoft that brought the exhibit to the attention of the Smithsonian staff.
I am a Midwesterner, so I had to ask, where's the Salish Sea? Now I know. And the more we talked, we realized it was a really good fit.
As the museum has set a goal of doing more to inform visitors about the impacts humans are having on the natural world, staff felt the message was important, even for visitors who may not be near any ocean at all.
They may never get to the Northwest, but still they have an association that there are creatures in the world that are either endangered and perhaps I can help in some way.
It's like a knife-edge change in behavior.
Researching whales has been the lifelong work of Andrew Treitz. He is thrilled to see the whales being featured on such a prominent stage at a time when he says all attention to their plight is helpful, especially internationally.
But it tells me that what we're doing here matters. Maybe also it sort of puts a bit more pressure on us to get it right, because we know the world is watching.
His team recently compared the declining southern resident killer whales, including J-pod, and their thriving nearby cousins, the northern residents. Both rely on declining Chinook salmon runs, but to their surprise, the southerns actually had more fish to eat, raising more questions about why they're declining and where the biggest threats are, possibly in U.S. waters.
Their territory, their habitat goes from here, our home, all the way down to California. And we need to be sure that everybody is looking at their backyards as being the home of the southern resident killer whales. But if we don't look elsewhere and realize that a whale's got to eat every day of the year, I think we are dooming them to extinction.
An issue not lost on Adam Olson, a local MLA and member of the Sartlip First Nation.
The goal, of course, is to try to kind of bring back that relationship with nature that I feel we've lost.
An excerpt from one of his speeches in the legislature is in the exhibit.
It's a collective effort that's going to help save these whales, and it's going to require a global attention paid to them.
The next 10 years are crucial for the health of the JP.
And the exhibit's creators wanted to ensure visitors left knowing ways they could help.
So that's everything from what you use, how, you're watching your plastic, how you use plastic recycling, to what you consume.
A virtual experience with some real-world solutions.
These types of experience make you want to help and make you feel connected and actually give you that compassion and empathy for what they're going through. How did you feel when that big boat came by?
I didn't want it to hit any of the orcas.
And even from a distance, it seems connections are being made. Susanna Da Silva, CBC News, Vancouver.
Next on The National, the holiday party season could cost a bit more this year. Why the price of a few festive drinks is on the rise. We'll be right back.
I'm Jamie Poisson. Join me for CBC's daily news podcast, Front Burner. Every weekday, Front Burner takes you deep into the story shaping Canada and the world. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. Melanie Joly made her first trip to Washington as the new Foreign Affairs Minister today, ahead of the North American Leaders Summit next week.
We know that we have a strong economy because of this integrated supply chain and because of this friendship. But at the same time, Canadians know that we have to defend our interests.
Joly says the increasingly strained North American supply chain was among several topics discussed when she sat down with her U.S. counterpart, the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken. Those supply chain issues brought on by the pandemic are challenging many businesses, causing shortages and delays across the country. As Julia Wong shows us, that has now trickled into the alcohol industry, which could mean a bigger hit to your wallet when grabbing those drinks this holiday season.
At this Edmonton area brewery, Matthew Atkins and his team are canning their latest batch of craft beer. But because of the pandemic, the process has become tricky.
And the wireman from Germany.
Getting some ingredients from overseas is now a struggle.
It's these specialty grains that we're just not able to necessarily always get reliably all the time.
Another issue, getting cans.
The brewery normally buys cans as they need them, but because of supply chain issues, well, they're stocking up.
And breweries are not alone. Wineries and distilleries are being hit too. Everything is more expensive, says this supply chain expert, from packaging materials to higher commodity prices to increased transportation costs.
The spot price for a container coming into the U.S. from China has gone from $2,000 just prior to the pandemic to $20,000.
Over in British Columbia, this Kelowna winery is seeing shipping delays of up to 2 months to get glass bottles from overseas.
We've tried to fast track our orders for 2022 to ensure that the glass that we need is reserved and shipped as soon as it's available.
Both businesses say they may have no choice but to pass extra costs on to customers, about an extra $1 to $3 per bottle at the winery.
I do think that most businesses are seeing a 5 to 10% increase in their costs that are going into their products.
As for Atkins, he's pushing forward, doing what he can to keep his 3-year-old brewery afloat.
We definitely need to make sure that we stay competitive and we can pay our bills, but that profit that we have to pay our bills is getting smaller and smaller.
Yet another struggle for small businesses in an already challenging economic climate. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
A historic first in Ontario tonight. The Ontario Hockey League's first female linesperson made her debut.
Hopefully it's significant enough to open those doors up for females coming up the ranks in reffing.
Her reflections on her first right after this. This is Kirsten Walsh, and tonight she made history. Walsh was a linesperson in an Ontario Hockey League game, the first woman ever to do that job. And just before the game, she talked to us and told us about how she hopes her moment turns into something more.
I played Division I hockey for 4 years, and then after I graduated, I just didn't really have any plans to play after, and I wanted to stick in the game. I went to an NHL exposure combine, which is specifically for ex-hockey players to try, reffing. And I just kind of took a risk, and here I am. It was pretty incredible, I must say. Hard to put into words, just like the opportunity they gave me after skating those 2 preseason games. They kind of chose me to officially, be a part of the roster for the referees for the OHL this season. Yeah, I'm just trying to contain my excitement. I'm definitely nervous, but I think the nerves are good and they're natural, and I'm just trying to just treat this as any other game. It's just the impact that it has moving forward hopefully is significant enough to open those doors up for females coming up the ranks and reffing. So that's the true goal, is just be an ambassador for the future generations.
So this is an elite league, right? The OHL, with some players who are going to end up at the NHL. It is elite as well for the officials, and really does sound, you can tell that she was an elite hockey player herself, right? Just her kind of game day attitude. A little bit nervous, quite confident, all eyes on her, and of course, best wishes for her as well. That is the National for November the 12th. Join me Sunday for Cross Country Checkup on CBC Radio 1 and CBC News Network, and later Sunday night right here for the National. Good night.